to Crawlstock RC. Tonight I'm going to touch on a subject which a few people have asked me about, which I've been working on over the last few days, and that is silver soldering. So what is silver soldering? Well, you've probably heard of soldering, welding using TIG, MIG or maybe arc welders, and I'm sure a lot of people have had a go of something in the past. But what is silver soldering? Well, it's very similar. The difference being is that you're using a silver solder rod to fill between the welds to bond your materials together. So there's a few parts to this. You've got the manufacturing of the pieces that you want to stick together. You've got the actual process of cleaning up and preparation, which is probably the most important phase. Then you've got the actual silver soldering together, and then you've got the cleaning up afterwards. So there's lots of parts to the process. There's making the parts that you want to stick together, there's cleaning and preparing the parts, then there's the actual welding, and then there's tidying up afterwards. So I'm going to cover the process of basically what I did to make the rock sliders for my D90-ish. Let's get into the workshop. So let's cover what we actually need to carry out a successful joint. First of all, you're going to need your silver solder. Then you're going to need some material that you're going to be sticking together. You're going to need flux. This is for cleaning up the material. This is the one that I recommend. You need a small paintbrush for putting the flux on. You need a gas torch. This is your source of heat. I recommend using a MAP gas torch. The good thing with these is they're very controllable, and you can just turn and off the flame, excuse the noise, very quickly, and are very easy to handle and control. Then you're going to need some way of cleaning up. I like to use a Dremel with like a wire brush tool in it, but sandpaper can do it, but also this is very useful for cleaning up afterwards as well. These small shaped magnets, these come in useful when you're trying to hold the piece, and most importantly, to protect yourself, I use a large metal plate. So I've got a piece of 6mm steel here, and underneath I place a heatproof mat. The reason for that will become apparent once I start actually putting the heat into the material, but the plate serves two purposes. One, it works as a heat deflector, but it also makes a great work surface. So when I'm trying to hold my work down using the magnets, it works perfectly for that. So you can see here I've got my material sitting on the metal plate. I'm using one of the magnets to hold it in place to keep the stanchion upright. So I'm introducing the torch. There I'm just straightening up the item. So I'm introducing the heat, and I'm trying to move the torch around to get the heat into both the bits of metal evenly. And some of the heat will dissipate into the plate, but then you just add the torch a bit more. So things to remember is that try not to put the rod straight into the flame. The flame will just cause the rod to melt and it won't bond to the material. So then just feed it in. Once you've got your cherry red, tiny amount at a time, and all of a sudden it will just flow like water. So I hope it's given you a bit of an insight into what is involved in silver soldering. It's a fairly straightforward process, but the key things to remember is get the material clean and make sure you heat the materials up at the same rate. So hence, if you've got a thicker material, put a bit more heat into that. Couple of things also, with the MAP gas torch, it's a very good torch to use, but bear in mind that when you're in the blue part of the flame, the material will heat up very quickly. So there's a bit of practice with moving the flame in and moving the flame out to get the right amount of heat for the joint that you want to make. I highly recommend cutting a few bits of the material that you're going to stick together, and having a bit of a practice before you go on to doing the proper job. I purchased all of the items that I wanted to use from a company called Cup Alloys in the UK. Their website is www.cupalloys.co.uk, and the guys there are very helpful in helping you decide what sort of silver solder that you need for the materials that you're going to be sticking together. It's a very versatile way of attaching metals together. So it's worth exploring. Check out the video, and if you've got any comments, please make them below. Really good way of bonding metals together, and you get such an effective joint that it's usually stronger than the material around it. I've found all of the jobs that I've done with it to be very, very strong indeed, and I have a lot of fun in making the parts for my different crawlers and utilising these skills that I've learnt. Hopefully, like me, you'll have a go, and then you can make the parts for your crawler like I have. It's just a case of having a go, making a few errors, and then learning from your mistakes. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notifications of my new videos. I'm hoping to do lots more videos with lots of tips and tricks that you can use to make your crawlers look better.